welcome to my channel. I'm back at it again, giving you some entertainment today. Notice a difference, guys? Notice a difference? I got a ring light, so maybe the lighting is better or maybe it's worse. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you notice a difference, if you think the ring light makes things better or not. But yeah, and also I'm rocking a frosty kind of eyeshadow look. I'll insert a better photo of it if I manage to get a better photo. I have tried taking a couple of photos of my eyelids and it just looks really weird, so we'll see. But yeah, basically like a minty green color on the bottom and then blended with a pastel purple on the top. Don't ask me why I did that look today. I didn't even wear it outside. I put it on before recording because I saw my eyeshadow palette and I was like, oh, those colors look cool. Why don't I put them on now? Despite the fact that I just came back from my time outside today, you know? But I guess it kind of matches my top, so hey. So, okay, today we're gonna talk about the international, well, we're not gonna talk about it, we're gonna do the international Booktuber tag. And I wanted to do this tag kind of early on in my channel so that you guys could find out a bit more about me and we could also have an interesting and I think very salient conversation about belonging, what it means to feel at home or not have a home in my case, as you'll hear about in just a little bit. The difference between native languages and your first language and primary language. This tag was created by the channel Only If for a Page. And I'll tag her original video below, and I'm using the questions in the description of that video. So I'm not sure if there are other international booktube tag questions that have been added since her video, but yeah, I'm gonna use her questions, and you'll see that not all of the questions are relevant to me, and that is also something that I will discuss. So without further ado, let's get into it. So question number one, where are you from and what is your native language or languages? So both of them have kind of complex answers for me, which I thought would be very interesting to talk about because not everyone has the same background as me. In fact, I would say most people don't have the kind of background that I have, and I thought it would be cool to kind of give insight into that a bit. So basically, I am what is referred to as a third culture kid. I'll link a Wikipedia article below. Third culture kid is someone who's grown up in two or more cultures that are different from the cultures of their parents. And my parents are Indian, and so am I. I was born in India and I have an Indian passport. So that is what we refer to in the third culture kid community as a passport country. So yeah, I'm Indian by nationality, which is a distinction that I am gonna make in this video because I didn't only grow up in India. When I was really little, I grew up in India, and then when I was around 6 or 7, we moved to Jakarta, Indonesia, and then from there we moved to St. Louis, Missouri, and when I was in high school, we moved back to Bombay. However, when I lived in Indonesia and when I moved back to Bombay in high school, I went to international schools because I wasn't able to go into the public school system in Indonesia because it was all in Indonesian pretty much. So as expats, like expats would usually put their kids into international schools, and there are a lot of them in Indonesia. So yeah, I went to an international school there. In St. Louis, Missouri, I went to a public school because the school system is in English, so there was no problem with me being able to go to school there, like to go to public school there. And plus, the international school system in Indonesia was based on the American school system, so I was already pretty much at the same level and I was used to the American school system by then. So yeah, I went to a public school in St. Louis, and then when I moved back to India, I had to go back to an international school because I wasn't able to reintegrate into the Indian school system because there are stark differences between school in America, the school system in America and the school system in India in terms of like what level subjects are taught at, the emphasis on certain subjects, etc. So that is an important point of my life because the reason that I have an American accent is, yes, partly because I spent some of my childhood in America, but also because I spent most of my life in international schools where most of my teachers were from North America, and most of the students end up having kind of a Pan-American accent at the end of their international school experience because their teachers, whom they spend most of the day with, have that accent. And then after high school, I moved back to the US for college. I lived in New York, and then I moved to the Netherlands for my master's, and now I live in Ireland. So yeah, I've basically moved around to different countries and continents my entire life. I've never stayed in one place for more than 5 years, which is, you know, it sounds really strange, and to a lot of people it sounds very traumatic, and in certain senses it was. I'm not gonna get into that in this video, but yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that even though I am Indian by nationality, I don't feel at home there because a lot of my sort of personality and cultural like viewpoint is very American. You know, more than just my accent, I feel like I know a lot more about American culture than I do about Indian culture in terms of like just cultural references, in terms of books, in terms of TV shows. There's a lot about the culture and like society and general kind of civic participation in India that I did not experience, because even in high school when I lived in Bombay again, my entire social life was contained in like the international sphere, like the expat sphere of Bombay. All my friends were from my school. You know, I didn't really participate in local life in Bombay very much, despite the fact that my parents are Indian. And yeah, so that has influenced how I feel about where I belong. And in short, I don't really feel like I belong in any particular country or city or place. And it's kind of nice because I basically make my home wherever I am at the current moment. And I'm able to do that pretty quickly. Like I'm able to adapt to places pretty quickly without feeling very homesick, because there's nowhere I can feel homesick about. At this point, especially now that I'm, you know, in my mid-20s, like I'm so used to moving around that I don't really experience the same kind of like uprooting that a lot of people who grew up in one place or in one country feel when they have to move somewhere else. And yeah, so it's always hard for me to answer the question where I'm from if it's not just talking about my nationality. I'm kind of stuck in a limbo, and I want people to understand that, like, you know, if I'm meeting someone new, I want them to understand that I'm not just, I'm not monocultural, because it is a huge, my multiculturality is a huge part of my personality. And it's not because I'm trying to distance myself from any particular culture, it's because it's actually a huge part of my personality. And if someone wants to understand me as a person and get better insight into who I am, they also need to understand this crucial aspect of me. So yeah, that's why I spent a lot of time talking about that right now. So anyway, the second part of this question is, what is my native language or languages? I'm pretty sure by this they mean what is the language that I primarily use and I'm most fluent in and I'm most comfortable speaking. But that is not the same language as my native language. Again, like in most people's cases, their native language is the language that they are most fluent in as well. But in my case, my first and primary language is English, but that's not my native language. My native languages are Kannada and Tamil, and maybe you could consider Hindi one of my native languages as well. Kannada and Tamil are South Indian languages, and they're spoken in the region that my family is from. But I don't speak either of those languages, and I can kind of understand Kannada because my grandparents would speak it to me as a kid, but I certainly cannot read or write in those two languages. I can conversationally speak in Hindi, although right now it's pretty rusty since I haven't been exposed to Hindi in like on a regular basis in years. But yeah, I could, you know, if I went back and like was exposed to Hindi a bit more, I could hold a conversation in Hindi like casually, just kind of go out and make my way around the city and stuff. And I can read and write Hindi very slowly. I do want to learn Kannada and Tamil eventually, and I'm lucky that I have people in my life who are able to converse in all of those languages and, you know, could teach me how to speak and write in those languages too. And fun fact, Hindi is not related linguistically to Kannada or Tamil because Hindi is an Indo-European language, and it is absolutely not in the same language family as a lot of South Indian languages, which are part of the Dravidian language family. So that's interesting. They have completely unrelated and different systems of writing. So that's the reason that I can read Hindi very slowly, but I have no idea where to begin with the other languages. So yeah. Okay, finally we're getting to question number 2. In what languages do I read books? I mostly read in English. I sometimes will read books that are originally written in Spanish or Dutch in those languages. I speak some Dutch because I lived in the Netherlands, as I mentioned, and then I took a lot of Dutch classes because I was considering getting a job there, and I'm still keeping that option open, so I kind of want to keep improving my Dutch. And I speak Spanish because I took Spanish in high school, and I just kept learning it because I thought it'd be a useful language to learn. So yeah, I'm keeping up with those languages, but I primarily read in English. Number 3, is there booktube in your native language? Well, obviously, for my primary language, English, yes, there is a booktube because I'm in it. But in my native languages, I don't know if there are booktube communities in them. If you know any booktube communities in Indian languages, please link them below. I'd be interested in checking them out and seeing what they're like. Okay, number 4 is related to number 3, so I can't answer this either. If there is a booktube community in your native language, why did you decide to join the international one? Again, don't know if there is a booktube community in my native languages. Okay, question number 5 also does not apply to me. Are there any struggles for you as a non-native English speaker? I am a native English speaker, so no. Number 6, how do you get hold of English books? I live in Ireland, so most of the books are published in English here. Pretty easy to get a hold of. In the Netherlands, when I lived in the Netherlands, there were, most bookstores had like an English section, but the selection of books in the English only section was of course a lot smaller than the selection of books in Dutch. Number 7, what's the best thing about being part of the international booktube community? Well, I just love hearing about authors and books from different countries, and I want to expand the regions of the world that I read from. So I think that's the best part so far. I also hope I can make booktube friends from different countries as well. So yeah, I'm excited about that, but I haven't been on Booktube very long, so right now it's mostly like learning about other books. Number 8, do I watch other international booktube channels? I'm not sure what counts as an international booktube channel because a lot of the channels I watch are of people who live in America or the UK or like other Anglo countries, I think, or yeah, pretty much. So I don't know if those count as international. I guess like geographically they're international to me, but I will link some of those channels below because I can't remember any of their names off the top of my head, as usual. And I didn't make any notes because who needs to prepare for things? That was the last question. I hope you enjoyed learning about this. I hope it kind of like spurs a conversation about belonging and nationality versus home, multiculturalism versus monoculturalism, bilingualism, multilingualism, and also decolonizing your mind into thinking that, you know, your first language is your native language, etc., which is one of the reasons, by the way, that I wanted to clarify that my native languages are not my first language, or my first language is not my native language. I'm just gonna leave you with my outfit of the day that I wore basically to just walk around the block and get a matcha lavender oat milk latte as a treat, a Sunday treat. I literally just wore this outfit to walk around like really nearby my house, and I walked around a park, and it was a really nice park. What I wore was just black leggings, a blue fleece, and a black raincoat, because you never know when it's gonna rain in Ireland. My shoes, I just wore my waterproof black boots. I don't know if I have anything else to say to you except to say hi to Gumby again. Gumby likes it when you comment below, so please let him know that he's appreciated and that you guys want to see him alive. Just gonna pet him for you. Okay. Oh, I forgot about these. Okay, so when I was talking about like reading in other languages, I also wanted to just show you some examples of that. I got this. It's The Happy Death in the original French. The original French. It's in French, which is what he wrote it in. Just in case that wasn't clear from the 3 times that I said it. The story with this one, I've had this book since my undergrad, okay? I had planned to read it since my undergrad. I don't really speak French with any sort of fluency anymore, but I'm trying to get back into it. But this book has an interesting story. I was at my university and there was a commemoration event for Camus, and Viggo Mortensen was the keynote speaker for that. For some reason, I mean, he's like a Camus fan apparently, and he was speaking at this event, and my friend and I were like, oh my god, it's Aragorn. He's speaking at this event. We have to go because it was like free entrance for students. So we went, and I bought this book at the end of the event. And Viggo Mortensen like read out loud some like excerpts of Camus' book and stuff. It was very cool. And then the second book that I want to show you, this is also like a kind of a, it's not a very interesting story. It's mildly interesting at best. This is Sally Rooney's book, Conversation with Friends, but this is the Dutch edition, and I bought it right before I left the Netherlands to move to Ireland, because for some reason this book was like in all the bookstores in the Netherlands, and they were just displaying it very prominently. And I was like, oh, Sally Rooney is an Irish author. Maybe I should get this book and, you know, start reading it now that I'm moving to Ireland. It's probably been like almost 2 years since I bought this book, and I have not gone past like 30 pages of it. I don't know if it's because like just trudging through the language was kind of demotivated me, or just the way that she writes. I haven't actually read her book Normal People, so I don't know what the language of her writing is actually like. But yeah, anyway, so these are examples of some books that I am attempting to read that are not in English. That's pretty much it for this video. Comment if you have any more questions about anything I said, or like comments, or can you relate to anything that I've said in this video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video.